Good morning, everyone on the platform. That is Gede.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
How you
How are
doing?
you?
Good in yourself?
No, I'm fine, man.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see Minga Hendricks. How are you, Mr. Hendricks?
Hi, I'm good, and you?
Oh, it's Miss Hendricks. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Good morning and welcome everyone on the platform. I'm just going to ask for 3 more minutes. The chairperson will be joining us. He's running a little bit late. And may I apologize upfront, there was some kind of miscommunication with regard to the starting time, but we've alerted the department they would be joining us hopefully very soon. Thank you so much.
Good morning, honorable members, and to all our professional and staff. I want to check, Mashile, can we just double check? And I apologize, I wanted to start this meeting on time, but we had some connectivity issues. Mashile, can you check for me, are all the honorable members on the platform?
Good morning, Chair. We do have a count of how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members on the platform, Chair.
Oh, fantastic. I think that that means the meeting is quorate. Let me just double check. Honorable Wakelin, are you there? Can you hear us okay? Honorable Wakelin? You see, they may be there, but They are having interesting times. Honorable Mkonto.
Good morning, Chair. I'm here.
Thank you, Honorable Oiklin.
I'm here, Chair.
No,
Yeah.
that's great. I have to make sure that you are there in person, not just logged in.
Morning, Chair, from Andrew Bateman here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Thank you, honorable members. I think we can proceed accordingly because today's briefing is quite crucial and important, and we've got a long agenda. Honorable Galega Mazibuko, are you there?
I'm here, Chair. I have flu, but I'm present.
You must be glad you are not in Cape Town. Cape Town's weather is not going to help your flu, although it's a fascinating place to be. Is the Republic of...
So I'm told, yeah.
Mashile, if you wouldn't mind, will you put the agenda on the screen so that we can proceed? Today, we gather really to engage the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Ministry. And so there are discussions that we need to have today as we go through the briefing. More specifically, as this week, we've had a lot of engagement on local government issues. And then we have a number of minutes to consider. May I, in looking at the agenda, today really the only item on the agenda is the presentation by the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, responding to a number of questions that we put to them, principally about the support for local government, the funding of disaster, ultimately looking at the state of a number of municipalities in terms of their revenue raising capability. So there are a number of issues that are on the table, and then we've got a whole set of minutes. Mashile, I'm not certain we'll get through all the minutes, but there are plenty of them because I saw some other... Sorry, Mashile?
Oh.
So there are a number of minutes that are set up. I'm not sure we'll get through all of them, but let's do that. But with that in mind, honorable members, can I just check, is there a member, given the agenda as we have it now, is there a member who will move for the adoption of the agenda?
Chair, Honorable Sigede,
Honorable
move
Skete,
for
you
the
move.
adoption.
Thank you very much, Honorable Skete. Is there a seconder for the adoption of the agenda? Is there any member who will move to adopt the...
Mkonto, I second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkonto. In that, the agenda being adopted as presented here today, I'd like to officially welcome the meeting. I'd like to welcome the department. And I certainly think that there could be no greater discussion in our country than the discussion about the coalface of governance, which is at a local level. Honorable Galega Mazibuko famously says that no one lives national, we all live at an address. And therefore, if everyone lives local government is really the coalface, both from service delivery, but the protection of citizens and ensuring that the lights and the water flow. So no greater discussion we could have. There are a number of municipalities in distress. I've had a deep look at the presentation that was sent to us. And I'm certainly looking forward to being able to deal with some of the matters that are raised on there. It is my understanding that Honorable Hlabisa will be opening, and therefore, if Honorable Hlabisa is on the platform, I'd like to welcome you. But before we move on with the presentation, may I ask if, Mashile, are there any apologies from any members today?
Thank you so much, Chair. We don't have any apology from a member except for our colleague, Ms. Noliole Magazi, who is not in with us. She's on leave at the moment.
Thank you, Mashile. That apology being recognized. Are there any other apologies from any other member who would like to put forward? In the absence of no further apologies in this regard, may I then ask the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, may I just double check on the platform? Is Minister Hlabisa, are you on the platform. Minister Thabisa.
Honorable Chairperson,
Yes.
my name is Tobani Mateza. I'm in the office of the Minister, Honorable Chair. Honorable
Yes.
Chairperson, we sincerely apologize for the miscommunication because we understood that the meeting will start at 9:30. The Minister is just in another meeting, about to wrap on that meeting, but our DDG Stelo Duma joined the meeting already, who will be running the presentation. Sincere apology for that, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
No. I recognize that, and the initial communication on our part was on that score. We've just felt that given that we're meeting on virtual platforms, it's better to start earlier than later. So that adjustment was done earlier in the week, and I do accept the dilemma. I will then, when the minister comes in, if you can alert the secretariat so that the minister can be able to speak at the right time. But I don't think we should wait. I think we should proceed because I think it's absolutely important looking at the slides. So we are going to be going through a presentation today by Mashile. I'm sure you will be able to present that on the screen. May I request, honorable members, please let's keep in mind, especially the department, there are a number of slides that you've sent to us, and there are many issues that you raise on there. The purpose behind these presentations is not to obfuscate the issues by long presentations. I think members are sufficiently capacitated to read the presentation, understand it for themselves. So if the ministry can be able to rather lead with a conversation rather than in fact read the presentation. This is not a read shop. It's an opportunity to account. And therefore, I wouldn't want the ministry to get away with 1,000 slides and rather no substantive discussions. I want to give a sufficient amount of time to deliberations. Therefore, in the light of that, I'm going to ask the leadership from the department to open up the presentation. We can then begin to go. I want to give you it is now just after 9:10. If I can give you just over 30 minutes, and then you will have, if there are any additional issues, a set of 10 minutes, and then we'll go from there and allow members to have deliberations. This is crucial for us to be able to engage on this issue. So may I, in the light of that, welcome the department and allow the leadership that is there to begin the presentation. Thank you very much. If you can introduce the team, and then when the minister comes in, we'll recognize and then go from there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I'll start with myself. My name is Mbulelo Changana, the Director General in the Department of Cooperative Governance. I must apologize for the confusion. We all thought that the meeting is going to start at 9:30, but we are here. Myself, I am accompanied by my deputies. DDG Stelo Duma is in the meeting and is going to take us through the presentation. We also have other DDGs. DDG Dr. Kevin Naidu is in the meeting. We also have DDG Funani Matlatsi in the meeting. DDG Dr. Elias Tole is in the meeting. We also have acting DDG Mahlangu in the meeting. So Chair, we all here and we'll be able to take you through the presentation. We'll try to keep it brief so that honorable members of the committee can engage with the presentation. The minister is going to join a little bit late, but we'll get started. Let me first ask DDG Duma to lead us, and colleagues will also jump in and assist in the presentation. DDG Duma.
Thank you very much, DG. Let me see if I can open. Why is my camera looking down? Apologies. I will attend to that. It seems to be facing down. Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, DG, and colleagues on the call. I will certainly try and be brief, Chairperson, as per your guidance. In presenting, though, I will be assisted by Dr. Naidu and Dr. Stolle. I will indicate the point at which there are measures that are being implemented by MISA, which is an agent of the department, the RMO, which is also a facility within the department, as well as partnerships that we have. We'll also look at policy measures that are being developed to address the issues of distress. We look at the financial aspects of things. Chair, I'm not going to dwell too much on this. It's safe to say that this is the letter or the brief that we had received from the committee, and I will not repeat that. The committee is aware of it. Quickly on the challenges that we believe are prominent in the municipalities. This slide is trying to outline that. We reference our presentation on the State of Local Government report that the department does annually, and the State of Local Government Finances, which is done by Treasury on a regular basis as well. And both of these indicate that there is quite a number of municipalities that are experiencing distress and need to be supported. This, I will not go through it, but it's a list of municipalities, 38 municipalities that have been categorized as experiencing extreme distress by the department, and therefore the focus is largely on supporting these municipalities hands-on. The instrument that we use to support municipalities is the MSIP, and as at end of May, we had this status, and I must indicate that on your extreme right, these municipalities, these provinces are being supported by us. We already had engagements with the Free State province, the Northern Cape province, as well as the Eastern Cape province, to make sure that the municipalities have MSIPs in place, and so that we can use those to support the municipalities. Chairperson will be aware that Cabinet, upon receiving a report from the AGSA, had appointed an IMC on municipal performance and turnaround. And that IMC had identified about 10 municipalities that are extremely distressed and are being supported on a regular basis. In this slide, those municipalities are indicated, and the provinces where they are located. And there is also a description of the short, medium to long-term activities that are undertaken to support those municipalities. And I must indicate that these 10 municipalities are part of the 38 that I showed earlier on, Chairperson. The Chairperson and the committee will also be aware that the Constitution provides for an instrument in Section 139 of the Constitution whereby provinces can intervene in municipalities that are experiencing distress or that are not performing their executive functions. And we indicate here that provinces have intervened in terms of Section 139(1)(b) in 8 municipalities, Section 139(5) in 28 municipalities, and Section 139(a), even though Section 139(1)(a) is just a directive and it's not necessarily reportable. But we are aware that there is one area where Section 139(a) has been implemented. And there are 3 interventions that are in terms of Section 139(7), which are national interventions, which are implemented by the National Executive. These are in Likwa, Mangaung, and Inokim-Gijima in the Eastern Cape. Chairperson, this section deals with the measures that we are implementing as a department. I must indicate here that we've reflected largely on the measures that are implemented by the department. However, the department works in collaboration with other departments to support these municipalities, and that information is not necessarily reflected here. I can mention the Department of Water and Sanitation. We work closely with them. The Department of Human Settlements as well. This is just an overview of the areas of support in municipalities across the 9 provinces. You will see, Chairperson, that the dominant issues here will be around water, wastewater management, electricity, roads and stormwater management, solid waste and disaster management. The first instrument, Chairperson, that we use to support municipalities is the equitable share itself. Members will be aware that this particular package is managed by the department, whereby we disperse just over 100 billion to municipalities, and a large component of that relates to free basic services that municipalities are required to offer to indigent residents, whether it's water, whether it's electricity, or whether it's refuse removal. This slide is just an indication of how that is broken down per province. You can see that the provinces that receive large amounts will be Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and Limpopo, as well as KZN. The other instrument that we use, Chairperson, is the Municipal Infrastructure Grant, which over the past 3 financial years, we've disbursed about 44.5 billion rand to municipalities. And in this financial year, we're looking at 17.4. I will come back to this slide just now to indicate what are the kind of services that this money is employed in. There's also another grant which is targeted at a few municipalities, which at this stage we're looking at 10 municipalities. and it's more or less a graduation from the MIG to an integrated urban development grant, which expands the kind of areas of focus. So it's more. It covers a wider scope than the MIG. We have an internal instrument, the Municipal Systems Improvement Grant. At the moment, we use this to employ experts that we are deploying in municipalities in order to attend to issues of distress across the provinces. But we also support municipalities in relation to their systems that they are developing. The chairperson will be aware that we are also working on the review of the white paper on local government. It is also funded from this instrument. Coming back to the Municipal Infrastructure Grant, Chairperson, you will see in the table at the bottom that about 38% of the money that is allocated to municipalities that receive the MIG goes towards water, whereas 35% goes towards sanitation. So if you combine those two, you are looking at 73% of the money going towards water and sanitation, which really is an indication of the backlogs that are being experienced in municipalities relative to those functions. However, we indicate that if you look at Gauteng, Western Cape, you will see that their priorities are more on sanitation and roads and stormwater management. Coming back also to the IUDG, you will see that the bulk of the money is also going to water and sanitation, roads and stormwater management, those two areas. Chairperson, you will be aware that the Department of Water and Sanitation had issued the drop assessments looking at the blue drop, green drop, and the no drop. This slide is indicating to you the municipalities that had not prepared or had prepared the corrective action plans that were required to be prepared in response to those drop results. The NCAP, the cap means that the municipality had prepared a corrective action plan, and the NCAP means that there is no corrective action plan that had been submitted by that date. And based on that, Chairperson, we as a department have targeted these municipalities in this slide to support them in respect of blue drop, green drop, and no drop, as well as the infrastructure asset management plans that the municipalities are required to prepare. On top of that, Chairperson, we have, as a department, taken a view that some of the municipalities we would convert their allocation from a direct grant to an indirect grant, from a Schedule 5B to a Schedule 6B, in which we then begin to address the water and sanitation challenges in the main, but we will be expanding that to include waste management as well as roads and stormwater. We started this program about 2 years ago with 2 municipalities, one in KZN, Utugela, where the project has been completed, and one in Gauteng, being Mfuleni, where the project will be completed in July. But for the 25-26 financial year, we're targeting 21 municipalities which are listed there, and the total amount is 494 million. On top of that, Chairperson, the department has adopted an approach of leveraging infrastructure finance, particularly from the private sector, and using the provision in the DORA that allows for the pledging of conditional grants so that municipalities can partner with the private sector to address some of the challenges that they are facing. At the moment, the department is in the process of procuring services from development finance institutions, from project managers, and other service providers that are interested to partner with the department and the municipalities to address these challenges. How this will work is that these private sector institutions will support municipalities to package projects that can then be submitted to, for instance, the budget facility for infrastructure at Treasury, the BFI, so that they can get money there to address infrastructure challenges. We envisage a situation where the agreements that are reached are based on a build, operate, and transfer principle going forward, Chairperson. But we also support the municipalities in relation to the ESCOM debt relief program. And this slide is intended to indicate the status in relation to that. And I think this is a program that is very familiar to the committee. And the slide that I'm showing now indicates the kind of support that is being undertaken by the department. There's also support in relation to waterboard debt. The committee will be aware that National Treasury is introducing this to municipalities that qualify, and we are part of it, and we are working together to support the municipalities as well as working with National Treasury. And I think that important to highlight here is the fact that the notion or the concept of an SPV as a vehicle to address this particular challenge is being considered, and it's being agreed upon in Mfuleni. So a special purpose vehicle that is established there to look at the water function as a whole and address the challenges and run the water service provision for a number of years, turn it around, in other words, so that when it is running properly, it can then go back to the municipality. The chairperson will be aware that His Excellency the President recently launched the Operation Vulindlela Phase 2, which focuses on local government. And again, this is an instrument that we are involved in. And if I may just go to this slide, and one of the elements of this instrument is the metro trading services that is driven by National Treasury, whereby all the 8 metros are being incentivized to ring fence their trading services so that they are operated as more or less standalone entities that so that municipalities are able to see whether these entities are running at a loss, or they are breaking even, or they are making any profit or surplus, not profit, surplus as it were, and whether that money can then be reinvested in that particular service. So we are very much involved in this particular matter, Chairperson. You will also be aware that in respect of the city of Johannesburg and the city of eThekwini. The president had also established the presidential working groups there. We are part of that to support those two municipalities, and which may well be extended to other metros. And this is done in terms of Section 154 of the Constitution. Chairperson, I'm going to quickly then move to specific matters that are being attended to by MISA, being our agent, and the facility that we have established within the department called the Results Management Office. It's a facility that accommodates a range of experts who are then deployed in municipalities to provide support. They are an extension of the department, and there are a number of partnerships we are involved in as well. MISA is supporting municipalities through a skills development program. This is not targeted only at the distressed municipalities, but all water services authorities. And there's been a program where MISA has trained about 77 process controllers, about 114 young graduates. They are experiential learners, about 70 of them, apprenticeships, about 63, and there are technical training courses for municipal officials that have been undertaken, and 500 beneficiaries. In the RMO, Chairperson, we have an infrastructure support stream which looks at water and sanitation issues, and we have been supported by this stream to work with the World Bank, to work with the New Development Bank, and as well as the FCDO, which is the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office of the British government. We are also involved in the Blue Deal strategic partnership with the Dutch government in South Africa, and these colleagues or experts who are in this stream are supporting us in that regard. We also have an energy group that focuses on municipalities that are licensed to distribute electricity. But beyond that, we are also doing policy work so that the changes that have come about because of the shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy. So there are requirements that policy should also shift, and these experts who are in this particular work stream are working with us. You will recall, Chairperson, that in recent weeks or even months, the national regulator, NERSA, had issued a statement indicating that there is a number of municipalities that have not complied with the requirement to submit cost of supply studies to NERSA for approval. We are attending to that through this group of experts. And I think last year as well, the court had ruled that municipalities that had failed to submit these studies to NERSA for approval could not increase their tariffs. So it is the work we do here is also informed by that. Chairperson, these are the municipalities that we have supported to do the baseline assessments on how they are managing their electricity services, looking at the whole value chain of the electricity provision service. And these municipalities are municipalities we have been working with to look at small-scale embedded generation. We also have a governance work stream that is in the RMO that is working with us to look at the reforms, particularly as informed by the review of the local government white paper, but they also do policy advice to municipalities and looking at the issues of powers and functions. We also have a DDM work stream that is assisting us with the institutionalization of the DDM. The minister had issued regulations in that regard. As I will show just now, the bill that seeks to amend the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act is on its way, and these colleagues are assisting us in that regard. And as part of the DDM1 plans, all the 52 DDM spaces, being the 44 districts and the 8 metros, are implementing or have one or two what we call catalytic projects being implemented in their spaces. And we provide support in relation to that because it is at the core of the DDM institutionalization. The last aspects that we look at in relation to municipalities in the RMO would be what we call a national strategic hub. This is a stream that is looking at how do we collate data, but also leverage data for decision making across government, not just in municipalities. So we are developing here quite a number of applications that are going to eventually assist municipalities to leverage data. And when they develop their IDPs, for instance, when they develop their SDBIPs, when they implement their planning decisions, this data will be critical. But there's also a finance stream that is assisting us with looking at, as I said earlier on, the ESCOM debt, the water board debt, the unfunded budgets that municipalities are battling with, but also the audit outcomes from AGSA, how we respond to that. We also have a suite of strategic partnerships, Chairperson, that we have entered into. They are at different stages and different levels, but we are looking at partnerships with government departments and government institutions. We are looking at partnerships with business. There are even international organizations. I did mention the FCDO earlier on, but there's also the EU. We have partnerships with banks, in this case, the DBSA, and there are other agencies such as SALGA, MISA, and the Demarcation Board. In as much as MISA and the Demarcation Board are institutions within the department itself, there are specific matters that we are partnering with them to support local government. There is also an NGO called PGI that we are partnering with. Just quickly, Chairperson, we are partnering with the FCDO I've mentioned on the just energy transition, focusing largely in Mpumalanga. There are municipalities there that will be receiving funding. But if you look at this slide, we are also partnering with the FCDO on the urban resilience program, which benefits about 10 intermediate cities, providing technical assistance to them. They are mentioned there. I'm not going to read that list. We also have a partnership with Sibanye Stillwater, so we just uplifted a few of these. and their focus is on municipalities that are closer or in close proximity to where Sibanye Stillwater has operations in the various provinces. The next aspect, Chairperson, relates to policy work. I did mention earlier on that we are doing this work. I did also indicate that the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Amendment Bill, which is second from the bottom, is going to be eventually going to Parliament in due course. We have started the initial phase of submitting this to Cabinet, and part of the review or the amendment relates to the DDM. But we also note that there is work that we are doing to introduce legislation around coalitions. If you look at the third line from the bottom, you will see that the amendment to the Structures Act, specifically focusing on coalitions, is going to be presented to Parliament in due course, and hopefully it will be passed before the next local government elections. The Chairperson, I'm not going to read through all these slides that follow, save to indicate that when the department last presented to this committee about a month or maybe even more than a month ago, we did indicate that we would be writing to the Department of Finance, National Treasury, to propose a range of amendments to DORA. But the primary purpose of those amendments is to ensure that whatever decisions are taken in respect of adjustments of funding that is allocated to municipalities are done. Those adjustments are done through the IGR structures of the department, and that is the primary issue here, Chairperson, that we were seeking to ensure that it's accommodated in the legislation. Perhaps the DG and the colleagues will expand on this if necessary. Chairperson, I'm almost there. Here we indicate the kind of work that we are doing with municipalities that have been highlighted by the AG as not doing well in respect of their audit outcomes. The AG had also flagged the issue of the performance report that the minister is required to submit to Parliament, and the Chairperson and members will recall or will know that this report develops from the municipal level in terms of Section 46, and then it goes to provinces in terms of Section 48 of the Systems Act, and then in terms of Section 47 for provinces and 48 for the minister. So we are trying to catch up on that and ensure that that report gets submitted to Parliament by the minister. We are also working, Chairperson, largely using the funding that I mentioned earlier on as MSIG to support these municipalities on revenue enhancement, because these 21 municipalities are struggling. You will see that the bulk of them are in the Free State and the Northern Cape, and quite a number as well in the Northwest, in as much as there are other provinces as well. The issue of unfunded budgets has also been featured a lot in the recent years in the discourse around the funding of municipalities, and we are working with these municipalities to try and ensure that they turn around their situation and implement the budget funding plans as required, Chairperson. I've mentioned the issue of the ESCOM debt, but this is just to indicate the municipalities that we are working with. And the cost of supply studies, again, I've mentioned this, and this is just a list of municipalities that we are working with. At this stage, Chairperson, with your permission and DG, I'm going to request my colleague, Dr. Sithole, just to take the remaining 5 or 7 minutes to discuss this part of the report, which has been requested by the committee on the disaster grants disbursements to provinces and municipalities. Over to you, Dr. Sithole.
Good morning, Chairperson. Dr. Sithole has requested me to present on his behalf. My name is Thabo Kupari. I'm the Chief Director responsible for disaster preparedness and response within the National Disaster Management Center. Thank you, Chair, honorable members of the committee. We are presenting on the process of disbursement of disaster grants from the National Department Disaster Management. Over the past few years, we're going to be looking at the previous financial year, but I think it's important that we also indicate the challenges that we are having in managing these grants. In terms of the problem statements, we have experienced that South Africa has experienced the increase in disaster risks, and the occurrences are increasing, and these are windstorms, floods, fires, and snow, as we have recently seen. The challenge with these grants is that we have observed that some municipalities are failing to act with agility to repair and reconstruct the damaged infrastructure after disasters. This is due to the capacity constraints in those municipalities. They are lacking technical expertise, and we have also observed that the same officials who are implementing the disaster grants are implementing other grants which the municipalities are implementing, and therefore the capacity is stretched. Some municipalities do not have the prerequisite capacity to undertake the pre-engineering processes, and this include your environmental impact assessment, which must be done with agility immediately after a disaster has occurred to determine the impact on the environment and what needs to be done to repair the damaged infrastructure. The other challenges that we have seen that the municipalities are not activating emergency procurement processes in terms of the disaster grants framework, which delays the implementation of these grants. Hence, we find that the money is transferred to municipalities, but it takes long for them to implement. Funds that are not spent within the prescribed period time frame are returned to the national fiscus because they are not spent within the prescribed time in terms of the DORA. There's delays in gazetting the funds after the adjustments and which has the impact on the transfers of the projects. And find some of the challenges that the funding that we transfer to municipalities are utilized for unintended purposes, meaning that they are sometimes used for purposes that they are not meant for, to repair the damaged infrastructure. There's non-reporting and lack of accountability at the municipal level for the funds that are being allocated, and this is the challenge that we have also observed. There's also lack of capacity in some of the provincial disaster management center to assist the municipalities in coordinating the response to support the affected municipalities. Next slide. Chairperson, we have the two types of grants in the National Disaster Management Center. We have the Disaster Response Grant and we have the Disaster Recovery Grant. The Disaster Response Grant, the purpose is to provide immediate release of funds. We usually allocated this fund. It's intended to respond immediately to the affected areas. The implementation period of this grant is 6 months, which I have indicated in the previous slide that normally, or in most cases, this period is not met. The Disaster Recovery Grant is the grants that we usually receive during the adjustment period, and this money is released between January and February. It's the implementation period is in terms of the grant framework is 12 months, but we allow it is allowed that they can implement it between a year and 3 years, depending on the scope of the work. These grants are existing and we are implementing them. The conditions that must be met for organs of state to qualify for these grants. In application for these funds, they need the applicant needs to indicate whether any prevention or mitigation measures were taken, and if not, reasons must be provided. And there must be an indication on whether a disaster could have been avoided or minimized, and the risk reduction measures needs to be indicated. On whether it is reasonable to expect that prevention and mitigation measures should have been taken in the circumstances, and also whether the damage caused by the disaster is covered by adequate insurance, and if there is no insurance, reasons must be provided. The extent of financial assistance available from community, public or non-governmental organizations, there must be an indication of the donations which the organ of state have received when applying, and also the magnitude and severity of a disaster, the financial capacity of the victims of disaster, and their accessibility to commercial insurance. So all of these are some of the conditions, but we felt that we should highlight some of these which are very important when applying for these grants. So, next slide. For the 2024-25 financial year, these are the amounts which we had. For the disaster response grant for the municipalities, we had 378,342,000, which we had transferred all of it to the following province, the municipalities in the following provinces: Free State, Western Cape, KZN, Northwest, and Mpumalanga. The expenditure which we have recorded is only 11 million, and this is the money that was transferred in February 2025. For the Municipal Disaster Recovery Grant, we were allocated during the adjustment 741 million, which we also have transferred to the municipalities in the provinces listed. For the Provincial Disaster Response Grant, there was an allocation of 149 million, which we also transferred. However, this money was returned or deposited back into the departmental account by the provincial treasuries. These funds were transferred on the 16th of March 2025 due to the effects of the incidents which has occurred in December, January, February period. Total amount for the allocation of the previous financial year was 1.2 billion, Chairperson. The next slide. The disaster grants, which was returned, maybe it's important that we need to emphasize on the occurrences of the return of this money. We have been allocated this money, which as I indicated, and we have received the applications from the provinces of Eastern Cape, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and KwaZulu-Natal. The departments are listed there as per the province and the sectors and the allocations thereof. What we have done as the department on the 27th of February this year, we communicated with National Treasury to intend to transfer this money. And there was a confirmation on the 28th of February to transfer the date, and the agreed date was the 6th of March. Indeed, the money was transferred to the provinces on the 6th of March. However, we learned that there was an instruction from the National Treasury to the provincial treasuries to refund the money back to the department, and this money was received on the 14th of April, which is in this financial year, and we could therefore not apply for rollover because when we closed the book as the department, we had already disbursed this money. Next slide. For this current financial year, the allocation for the grants, for the Municipal Disaster Response Grant, we have 395 million. We have not yet transferred these funds. We are in the process of finalizing the transfers for the incidents which has occurred by end of the financial year, and including the current occurrences which we have classified last week. The disaster which we have experienced due to snow and severe weather in KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and Free State. In terms of the Municipal Disaster Recovery Grant, the money which we are expecting is 708 million, and we have also not dispersed this money as we are awaiting for final assessments and submission of business plans so that we can be able to transfer this money. I must just emphasize the process of allocating this money, that as soon as the classification is issued, there's impact assessment which is undertaken, and the verification process, working very closely with MISA and other spheres of government to ensure that we offer capacity and support to the affected municipalities. From there, the business plans are submitted and analyzed, and allocations are therefore issued. In terms of the Provincial Disaster Response Grant for this financial year, we have 151 million as projected there, and also this money has not also been disbursed. The total allocation for this year is around 1,255,287,000. Measures to streamline the application faster. We have also admit that there's also delays from our side due to capacity level. We would want to improve the efficiency through the review of the organizational structure of the department. Dedicated teams are being introduced. Currently, we only have 7 members who are responsible for grants management and also responding to disasters. We would want to reduce documentation through the introduction of an online system because the process that we are following is too manual and therefore takes time. By enhancing accessibility and online application we want to introduce, we'll also take into account the mobile accessibility to ensure that application platforms are mobile friendly. Financial management and compliance of disaster grants will also be managed in terms of the proposed review of the structure under the CFO branch to ensure that losing money as we have done or experienced in the previous financial year, it does not happen going forward. Next slide. The key areas of intervention. There is a need that technical capacity gaps in some municipalities, referring to project planning, preparation, and packaging, needs to be improved. efficiency in project management. We have also seen that contract management and project management at the municipal level needs to be enhanced. We have also observed that funds are surrendered to the national fiscus, and this needs to be improved by ensuring that this money is ring-fenced as a contingency funds to address other disaster damages. Next slide. This will be the last one, Chair. Key support and interventions deployed in affected province. I've indicated earlier that we are working very closely with our sister agent in the department, MISA, to assist us with the engineers at the municipal level in conducting assessment and verification process to ensure that the interventions which we are providing to municipalities is improved. We also mobilize resources for intervention to support affected provinces through the disaster grants, which I have also referred to. We are working, it's a work in progress to ensure that the implementation of these grants become more effective. Strategic and technical support to provinces and municipalities. We also receive support from organs of state nationally, as reference, SANRAL, Department of Transport. They also assist with the technical support and expertise to ensure that decision-making and allocations is informed. The support and implementation interventions, we have project steering committees comprised of various organs of state, Department of Transport, DPME in the presidency, provincial disaster management centers, and MISA, and other organs of state who do site visits and also assist in project implementation to ensure that the money that we have transferred to the municipalities are foreseen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kupari. DG, this is the recommendations which have been put forward for the committee to note the measures that are being taken to support municipalities in distress and to indicate that we're working with our sister departments, Treasury, Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation in the main. I think we forgot to mention the provinces. We will also work closely with the provinces. And we also want the committee to note that we also align ourselves to the constitutional and legislative obligations of government. And for that matter, we have concluded a collaborative agreement with National Treasury. We'll stop there, DG, and hand over back to you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. DG, is the minister online?
Chair, I still have not seen Minister online. I'll still follow up and check if Minister is still going to join, but he is not connected yet.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You were wrapping up the presentation. You can wrap up from there.
Thank you very much, Chair. That takes care of our response to the question that the committee has put forward. We will be more than willing to engage with honorable members of the committee on this presentation and also to respond to some of the areas that maybe we have not covered adequately in the presentation. Chair, I'll hand back to you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, DG. With that, I think thank you so much for the presentation. Let me welcome it. We have gone a little bit over time from a presentation point of view, but I want to allow honorable members now, those who want to put questions to the department, if they can indicate so now. I recognize Honorable Waitlin, Honorable Bateman, Honorable Mkonto, Galega Mazibuko, Honorable Mwali. And then let's go from there. Let me start with Honorable Waitlin. You can
Thank you, Chair. Are you able to see me and hear me?
You are seen and audible.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to double check on that. Thank you, Chair. To the DG and the DDG, thank you for your presentation. It was to the point and very well put together. Thank you very much. Chair, I've got just a number of questions that is pertinent. I've went into the budget itself to have a look on a number of issues that concerns me. Let me start off by saying that we know that over 95% of the budget, it seems to me, it will be distributed through grants and subsidies. Here's my concern, though, that over the period of the entry of the 3 years, that 83% of the budget that will be given through subsidies and grants relates directly to the spending allocation of which will be for to cover a non-payment of services. And that is a concern for me. I was wondering if they could please respond to that. So we're looking at the spending, particularly in the governance and local administration program, which will be around about 332 billion rand to cover particularly those that are not able or cannot or don't want to pay for the services. I need us, and here's my concern, that the rate of increase is around about 4.5% over the period, and it's going to be escalating more and more. Coupled to that is the second question, which is related to a expenditure, and I particularly looked at that 25 million, which is a small amount, but it is for revenue support and municipal funding. And my take is, it seems to me that this 25 million will be used to assist and develop intervention programs and to capacitate municipalities to be able to collect revenue. But if you look at the other side, it just keeps on increasing. So I don't understand the correlation between the two, if they could explain that, as well as this 25 million that will be spent for capacitation for revenue support. Please to explain what that money is used for, because it makes no sense to me to utilize this money for capacitation. And we know that the majority of the municipalities have got serious revenue problems, and the capacitation for them to be able to collect is a massive problem for me. Then second to that, Chair, if you look at the budget, there's an item that says consultants, business and advisory services for another 256 million rand, just for the 1 year. So I don't understand what type of consultancy services are utilized, whereas 95% plus is dispersed to municipalities to do their work. If they could maybe just explain that amount of 256 million for business and advisory services. Then thirdly, Chair, the matter of personnel cost. Within their own department, there's a projection of a growth of over 10% of personnel over the period from 454 to 529. In the same time, we are spending 256 million rand for consultancy services. Again, that doesn't correlate with me. I need to understand, why is there such an increase of personnel cost in their own department, whereas they're spending so much money for consultancy services? I need to have an understanding of why we should allow that. Then a matter that I've been dwelling on for a number of times now, and Chair, you've heard me on a number of meetings, is the matter of unfunded mandates. And I would like to hear the department's position on the matter of unfunded mandates between local government and province. Let me use some examples. City of Johannesburg, there's a 1.2 billion rand shortfall on unfunded mandates. Cape Town, 2.5 billion. City of Tshwane, 268 million. And City of Ekurhuleni, 2.3 billion rand shortfall. So we just roughly estimate around about 10 billion rand of shortfalls because local government is doing work of province which are not funded for. So what is the department going to do about that? Are they engaging with provinces on the matter? I want to get a sense of that. Then lastly, Chair, a very big bone of contention for me, and I would like them to please explain this. It's the matter of local government municipalities that has fallen behind with their pension fund contribution. Now that is a huge risk for us, and we've spoken this about a number of times. And what this would create and the uncertainty it creates with staff and personnel throughout the country, and what it can lead to as far as strikes and the likes are concerned. We are talking about, I think, as far as I remember, the figure that was quoted, 166 municipalities not contributing and not on that are falling behind with their pension funds. The result of that now is that, and here's the question I'm asking, where is that money going to? My sense tells me that a lot of that money has been spent on operational cost for municipalities. If the DG can please assist me with those questions. Thank you, Chair. I will leave it at that.
Thank you, Honorable Wakelin. May I recognize Honorable Bateman?
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair, and thank you to the Minister and to the Department for, again, I agree, an excellent presentation. First question, the number of municipalities at risk is not declining, which means that there was an improvement in 1 year, but then in the following year, not an improvement. So it's not clear that we're really making progress. So for all of the talk about what's happening, we're not really seeing results. That's the impression that one gets. And a simple question, why is that? Perhaps not such a simple answer, but I'd like to know, really, to get to the heart of the issue, what do you think is the reason why we're not succeeding? My second question, and I'm going to hint at what I think the answer is here, but it relates to the trading services, where the presentation makes the point that trading services are not being delivered, funded, or operated in a way that provides sustainable universal access to these services, which are critical for the social and economic development of cities and the country. The result is a rapid decline in service delivery, asset condition, municipal financial sustainability, and also prospects for economic growth in cities. And so we can see a downward spiral there, and that's what we observe everywhere, or many places in the country. Let's just say not everywhere. There's some municipalities where trading services are functioning well, and they are making the necessary investments in maintenance. My observation here is just simply that the answer is not necessarily to pour in more money if the problem is the mismanagement of trading services. We actually have a leadership problem at the local government level, not necessarily a problem with the financial model. That's not to say we shouldn't look at the financial model, but the answer is not necessarily just to pour in more money when there are definitely leadership issues that need to be addressed. I think, but I'd welcome comments on that. That's more an observation, though, than a question. And it relates back to the first question as to why the number of municipalities at risk is not declining. But again, invite comment on that. I'd like to just dwell for a moment on Eskom. We had a presentation, I think it was last week, from Eskom. And obviously the failures in the trading systems and services of the municipalities have a knock-on effect on major suppliers of the municipalities like Eskom, like the water boards. Eskom is recommending that municipalities who don't stick by the terms of the debt relief agreements should be mandated or it should be mandatory for them to enter into a distribution agency agreement, a DAA, whereby Eskom will manage the billings and the collections and then pay the municipalities their share of the profit margin as they collect from residents. So Eskom will do the collections. There seems to have been some resistance from municipalities. They're not voluntarily taking up this offer from Eskom, and that's why Eskom is saying it should be mandatory if they don't stick to the terms of the debt relief agreements. My question is this, does COGTA support this plan of Eskom's? Do you put your full weight behind it? If not, why not? What is the status of that in terms of COGTA's position? And my understanding is that the next step is for Treasury to issue a circular in order to make this a mandatory condition upon municipalities. I'd like to know also from COGTA's perspective, can you tell us what the reasons are why municipalities wouldn't be embracing this voluntarily? It seems that if Eskom is willing to take on this responsibility and can do it well and just pay the municipalities their profit margins on electricity, that would be something to embrace. And are you aware of what the reasons might be why the municipalities are not embracing that the DAAs voluntarily? I have a suspicion, I don't know whether this is true, but perhaps you could comment on that perhaps it's because it undermines their ability to collect other municipal charges, in the sense that Eskom electricity can be something that's effectively disconnected, and then that actually gives the municipalities leverage for the collection of other debts. And that could be perhaps be the reason. And in that case, have possibilities been explored, such as, for example, having a flag on the Eskom system that if a customer is in arrears on other services to the municipality, they can issue a flag, which would then which would then cause there to be an additional rates and services recovery charge implemented when residents buy electricity, so that their debt collection can still happen through the electricity collection purchase process, but it can actually be a recovery mechanism that Eskom manages, not only the collection of electricity, but also the collection of payments for other rates and services where residents are not staying up to date on those charges. So again, just a comment. I suppose the question broadly is, in what way is COGTA supporting Eskom's initiatives and proposals for getting on top of the issue of municipal debt to Eskom? It's obviously an issue of national importance, as you're well aware. And then lastly, on disaster funding, the report highlights that funding can be used for unintended purposes without consequences. This seems to be the problem across government generally, that there are often, where there are irregularities in spending, sometimes people are disciplined with the loss of their jobs, but very seldom do we see charges being pressed against individuals who have abused funds. And I would like to know what can be done to ensure that there is full consequence management for the misuse of disaster funding, and what role can COGTA play in this? Thanks very much.
Thank you, Honorable Bateman. May I now recognize Honorable Skete?
No, thank you, Chair. Let me also welcome the presentation done by the department. My question will be, Chair, whilst COGTA disperses over 18 billion, made up of municipal infrastructure and integrated urban development grants to municipalities to address water and sanitation backlogs, among other needs. However, the Auditor General found that all too often work in infrastructure projects across municipalities is delayed, costs more than planned, and is of poor quality, Chair. Moreover, new infrastructure is also not commissioned for use upon completion. Can the department share with the committee the measures it has put in place to address weaknesses in infrastructure projects delivery and ineffective maintenance of infrastructure across municipalities? My second one, Chair, will be the department seeks to appoint capable, knowledgeable, skilled, and experienced multidisciplinary implementation agents to assist municipalities with arranging alternative infrastructure financing and implementation infrastructure and construction projects, including unblocking projects that have stalled for various reasons over a time. Can the department share with the committee some of the alternative financing instruments for municipal infrastructure that the department is considering? And how will the department ensure that these alternative financing instruments do not result in the capture and commodification of municipal infrastructure, as is the case with the traditional triple Ps that serve private profiteering. And Chair, also which I want to ask, areas that own to ESCOM slightly decrease as of 31st January 2025, but remains high irrespective of the ESCOM debt relief program intended to provide some relief to municipalities that struggle to pay the electricity supplier. Can the department take the committee through the deeper reasons why participating municipalities in the ESCOM debt relief program are not complying with the conditions of the program? And lastly, Chair, the department has allocated approximately 106 billion during the 2025-26 financial year to support free basic services across municipalities. Can the department take the committee into confidence regarding the number of households obtaining free basic services compared to the number of households being funded in the national budget? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sikete. May I recognize Honorable Mkonto?
Thanks, Chair. Good morning to you, Chair, honorable members, the DG from DCOC and his team, and our colleagues. Chair, I will start with a comment. It has proven, Chair, that money or funds is not the sole solution to municipalities' challenges. The challenges that are being faced by municipalities can't be addressed only by just pumping funds. You will agree with me, Chair, that when it comes to the debts like ESCOM, those ones are understandable because they are related to revenue collection, non-payments, infrastructure vandalism, and so forth. But then, Chair, we are having municipalities that can't pay salaries at some point. They can't pay pension fund contributions. They can't pay medical aids and other amenities. And then, Chair, in the process, the rights of citizens and those of workers are grossly violated. And officials in these municipalities, they intentionally abuse their fiduciary powers. And it's very painful, Chair. In the presentation, I was looking at the municipalities that can't pay the Auditor General of South Africa because they make it difficult for the AG to perform its duties effectively and efficiently. Maybe that is one of their strategies to evade accountability, because maybe we can ask how many have functioning audit committees and internal auditors. And also the use of consultants, Chair, is another sign to say municipalities, they don't need only funds. There are many challenges that have to be identified and be addressed accordingly. My third question, Chair, will be on the disaster responsive grant. Chair, we are having municipalities that experienced disaster some few years ago. Still, members of the community are not being assisted. Can those municipalities be identified and let us be told as to exactly why count those grants because they are available, not applied for? If applied for and being given to municipalities, why are they not spent accordingly? Chair, I also want to know, how does the low retention rate of high-level officials affect municipal functionality? Is there any relations with the use of consultants? They talked about the coalition management in the Municipal Systems Act, that they want it to be reviewed. Is there anything that talks to the low retention of high-level municipal officials? We welcome the partnerships, Chair, because anything that has to assist municipalities to function better and deliver services to our people, we will always welcome it. But then, Chair, is this going to be implemented by the municipalities? Are they not going to resist even this one? Because we are always told that there is resistance in municipalities. So we don't understand as to exactly what is this resistance all about. Why don't they just welcome any intervention with a positive attitude? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mkonto. May I recognize Honorable Galeka Mazibugo?
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, appreciating the presentation from the department, as my colleagues have already indicated. Chair, as you said, we live locally, Chair. I hear the interventions by the department, but the problem I have in my mind is the impact of these interventions. In reality, Chair, is that the situation on the ground in the municipalities is bad. It's dire. You look at the roads, you look at the refuse that is all over the show, which creates unhealthy conditions for the citizens, moreover children. You look at the sewer spillages. You go to any province, the roads are bad. So the impact, hence I'm questioning the impact of these interventions, Chair. The devastating situation of the natural disasters. It's like, for me, Chair, we are just reactive. I mean, we knew long time ago that there will be global warming coming. It seemed very far at some point. I remember I attended one of the global warming conferences when I was still with local government. And it was like it's something that is very far. But for me, I think Africa in particular, I don't think we had put proactive measures in place for the situation we find ourselves in today. Chair, I am deployed in PCO at Vereeniging, and Mfuleni is under Vereeniging. We appreciate the SPV intervention, but the implementation, when are you starting with implementing the SPV? Chair, metros are plagued by poor revenue management, debt collection, and budget practices, coupled with financial losses due to poor quality spending. Metros like City of Joburg have listed debt and significant loans to service, while metros like City of Tshwane and Mangaung are financially strained and have disclosed significant doubt on their ability to continue fully operating as a going concern. Yet metros, except the City of Tshwane, are not listed as distressed municipalities in this presentation. Chair, can the department explain to us the reasons why metros are excluded from this list of distressed municipalities, despite reports by AGSA indicating that the overall audit outcomes have regressed and financial and service delivery performance are at risk across all metros. As I indicated earlier, what I have said, it's found in the metros, dilapidating buildings. And Chair, related to my above question, financial and service delivery challenges that define the top 10 priority distressed municipalities are as common in metros as in the distressed municipalities, despite metros having better access to resources. But the IMC Municipal Performance and Turnaround Strategy, which amplifies Section 154 support and Section 139 interventions, Chair, excludes metros as part of the top 10 priority distressed municipalities. Again, can the department then explain to the committee why metros such as Mangaung are not part of the IMC MPTAS's top 10 priorities distressed municipalities? My other question, Chair, most municipalities continue to contract financial reporting consultants. I think Honorable Nkondo has touched on this, to prepare financial statements on their behalf. These financial reporting consultants, despite costing municipalities approximately 848 million as reported in the misstatements, in the areas of the consultants' work across 101 municipalities in the previous financial year. Can the department then explain to us why the use of financial reporting consultants has become a permanent solution for many municipalities, most notable Limpopo and Northwest? Why are financial reporting consultants also ineffective? Because they are ineffective in assisting municipalities to improve the poor quality of their financial performance reports, even though they are paid so much money. And does it mean that we do not have capacity, Chair? Why don't we create capacity within? Because they outsource this role, and yet there are people who are getting paid within the department for the same role. And my last question, Chair, is that the AGSA found that 113 municipalities operated unfunded budgets in the 2023-24 financial year, contradicting advice given by the national and provincial treasurers. These unfunded budgets, Chair, resulted in unauthorized expenditure and deficit, especially across municipalities in the Free State, Gauteng, and Northwest. Can the department's leadership explain to us why municipal councils continue adopt unfunded budgets, and what solutions has it proposed to address a lack of diligence and impactful decision-making by mayors and councils in these municipalities? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mazibuko.
Excuse my voice, Chair.
No, Honorable Kaleko, we hope you get better soon. May I recognize Honorable Khanyane, and then we'll finish with Honorable Mwali.
No, Chairperson, thanks very much. Good morning to you and honorable members. Let me also take this opportunity to greet the delegation from the Department of Cooperative Governance. Chair, there is an expression in Afrikaans which says, "Blafende honde byt nie." The barking dogs do not bite, or the dogs that bark never bite. And I think we have become Blafende honde. The reason why I'm saying this is because honorable members who are new in this committee, this standing committee and those that have been here over time will agree with me, Chairperson, that the questions that we have been asking, starting with the first honorable member, Honorable Wakeling, there is nothing new in all those questions that are being asked here today. And honorable members will once again agree with me that there is nothing new in the presentation that has been made here today. There is nothing new. DG, Mr. Tangan, I can tell you 4 or 5 years ago when Minister Dlamini Zuma was at Cooperative, I was in one meeting where this report was presented. And today I hear that the number of the distressed municipalities is 38. In that meeting, when the report was presented, it was 42 municipalities. And look, it does not matter what the number is, but if you go back to your records and check the report that was compiled during the tenure of Minister Sicelo Shiteka. Yeah, this name is very difficult to pronounce. Minister Shiteka. There was a report on the state of local government, which was compiled in around 2009 and 2010. The report might have been formally launched in 2010. It's 15 years ago. And at that time, Tangana, you were there. You were in the Department of Human Settlements. You remember very well. And that was when the word distress was used for the first time in local government in that report. It was a highly contested word at the time when other people were very protective, trying to deny the reality which was presenting itself. It's 15 years now. Chairpersons of this standing committee come one after the other. Today is you, Honorable Maiman. You receive a report about local government in distress, which was presented 15 years ago. You can imagine the next 15 years will be around 2045 or 2040. A similar report may be presented before a committee of government. I'm saying these things because if nothing extraordinary is done, I don't see us going anywhere. And the last time, remember, Chairperson, I personally spoke to you and said, you will see these things are going to happen, and they are now happening now. There has been parallel administrations in Tabazimbi for almost 2 years. And what happened there is that the municipality was dissolved, there have been elections, and all of us left Tabazimbi. Nobody is asking now. In the 2 years of parallel administration, what are the wrongs that have happened? What is the remedial action that we must take? No, there is a new leadership there. We must now leave. We are leaving the municipality. But the problem is that having left the municipality, the next point when we meet, we are going to meet like this, Honorable Chairperson, where we now agree to allocate the municipality money, because that is the solution. Like one honorable member has said here, that we just sit here and agree to allocate money. There is a presentation which has been made, whether it's a 15-year presentation, it's a 5-year presentation, it's okay, allocate money. Ditsobota in the Northwest, dissolved. Now, as I talk to you, there are parallel administrations. What do? sit here, allocate my. I fail to understand how do we go to sleep as a leadership of the country? Sleep for a week, sleep for 2 weeks, sleep for 2 months with a municipality that is having 2 parallel administrations. We sleep as the leadership of parliament, the executive, the province. How do we sleep? And having slept, how do we come back and allocate money to that kind of a municipality and say, no, we hope that the problems that are there at ESCOM, with whatever intervention we are going to make, that intervention will work. It will help us to resolve the problems in a municipality where you have those parallel administrations. I can tell you, you know, if you are a medical doctor that relies on a injection as a subscription, every time people come here, they are coughing before you, and then you just apply injection. You don't even ask yourself questions about circumstances where those people live. You just apply injection. You will never resolve any. And I can tell you, let's come back again next year, this time, before this committee chair, before you, we will be talking about the same issues. There has been a district development model which has been introduced. It may be over 5 or 6 years ago now. To what extent are we making an impact on district development model? The districts that we have in the country, how many of them are succeeding in that regard? And do we have evidence of success where we can say we went to a Capricorn district in Limpopo, or we went to Leputso in the Free State? This is what we are doing in terms of the district development, except for meetings, except for community engagements, imbizos and other things. What is it that we can demonstrably show that these are the projects which we have planned in terms of the district development models, and these plans are helping our communities? Local economic development in most municipalities is non-existent, and that is why the unemployment is growing exponentially. And even here in your presentation, I don't hear any one of you talking about how at local government we are dealing with unemployment. And one day we may have to reach a point where municipality by municipality or district by district, through the district development model, we are able to report how we are creating employment opportunities. I can tell you, unemployment is the next rebellion in this country. And if conscious efforts are not being taken at this level, and when we talk about local economic development, we must also link this to the reforms that have been introduced. The first phase of reforms, now we're talking about the second phase of reforms in local government, and is led by this department. How are those reforms, or how do they intend to impact on the state of affairs that honorable members are talking about here? How is that going to improve the conditions in our communities? Almost all our cities, towns have deteriorated. I mean, potholes everywhere. We met with Mangaung Metro last week. Yesterday, of course, I was absent. I know the committee met with the city of Johannesburg. But it is not these meetings, Chairperson, that are going to correct all the wrongs, that are going to rehabilitate everything. It is action. And the department is right there. When we speak about municipalities at the coal face, the foreman in that coal face is the Department of Copper. That is the foreman we have. That is the captain of that team. So look, I must say it here, Chairperson, I am not impressed And I think that we may have to come back again, find a way in which we can involve our sister committee, the Standing Committee on Finance, and also the Portfolio Committee on local, on cooperative governance. But very importantly, we may also have to come out of Cape Town. If there is a way in which we may have to go to these provinces and meet with those municipalities categorized as distressed, province by province, and understand what is really happening. The department will also have to be there. The provincial authorities also have to be there. But look, I fail to understand how is it possible that we can sleep peacefully like people who have rested eternally when we have developments like this, very wrong things happening at local government, and some of them we see them every day happening, but we seem not to care. And look, Chair, no, I'm not impressed. Thank you so much.
Honorable Khanyane, I take completely to heart the points that you are making. Those are absolutely crucial. And I think the broader theme that you are raising speaks to even the length of time it has taken to review the white paper on local government and all the implications that go in there. I take completely to heart. I thought, let me at this point, even none of us here want to continue as though the world is a normal place. And so I really do believe as a committee, the decisions that we take post facto and even in the consideration of our reporting, that the inputs that you have made, Honorable Khanyane, may not be lost. And we need to be far more using of the budget instruments to enforce accountability. Otherwise, we will, exactly the point you are making, in 5 years' time, have a similar discussion. Let me ask Honorable Mwali, if I recognize you, can proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, Honorable Mwali, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I have a question. The question is, what is the role of the department in addressing the current traditional leadership general governance challenges across the country? There are reported problems in the traditional leadership succession challenges in most communities. So does the department conduct capacity building workshops to the traditional leaders on matters of general governance, in particular financial management? There are allegations, Chairpersons, of serious misuse of funds in the Dr. J.S. Moroka in Mpumalanga province. That might be pointing to the lack of support for the capacity building of traditional leaders. So I would really like the department to take us into confidence as to whether they provide these capacity building workshops and also the allegations across this Dr. J.S. Moroka in Mpumalanga. And then, Chairperson, another question that I have is that whether the department do they have a case study or an example of a municipality where they had an intervention and then the municipality was then got back to their financial health and was able to function properly? Because I hear, Chair, from the presentations that there is this intervention and that intervention and that intervention. I'm afraid, Chairperson, a month ago, the Auditor General, when he made a presentation to the Committee of Cooperative Governance, she mentioned that the report she has that she was presenting to the committee is similar to a report that was presented 10 years ago. And that supports what Honorable Lekanyane is talking about here, that we are sitting with a situation where we are discussing these interventions this year, and there was a similar discussion that was held about 15 years ago. And it's supported by what the Auditor General is saying. 10 years ago, the report on the state of the municipality that is produced in 2023-2024 is the same or similar to a report that was produced 10 years ago. Then that tells you, or that then raises a serious concern on the impact of these interventions from the department, because when we look at the report from the Auditor General or from the comments from the Auditor General on the state of the municipality, this then tells us that the output from whatever interventions that the department is putting or the department is having on the municipality, it's really not working. They are really not working. So I really want to know from the department any case study of a department that was once, or of a municipality that had problems, and then it was back to their financial health. And also on slide 10, Chair, slides 9 and 10, there are municipalities that are mentioned there, but you don't see the Mangaung Metro that you just held, that are sitting with serious issues. So there's no mention of the Mangaung Metro or on those slides, but it highlights some of the municipalities that they are having interventions on that have issues. So, Chair, I would really want to know why there was no mention at all of this on those slides, or particularly the two metros that you've just had the discussions with before we have a discussion with Cooperative, because I was hoping that I was going to see them here. And also, Chair, we must mention the fact that these municipalities, these interventions, I'm afraid, they are not impactful, because if you look at the Mkanya with the district municipality here in KZN, that district municipality has been having interventions from the department for quite some time now. And some municipalities, they will have these interventions from the department, but they will become worse instead of them becoming a little bit better or seeing an improvement. So they will become worse with the department involved or included. And we know that there's also SALGA in this thing. So I'm afraid, Chairperson, I don't know if really these interventions, this support given to the municipalities, does it really yield any desired result? And also, Chairperson, I wanted to check also with regards to the local government district. I'm not sure. There's a mic, Chairperson, that is on.
I'm following up, Honorable Member. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Hazel Masiza.
I will
Okay,
double check that.
Okay,
yes, I see it. Mashile, can you mute that particular device? If you can continue, Honorable Mwalo.
Sure.
Okay, Chairperson, on the local government district model, well, then the department should update the committee on the implementation of the local government district model. The district model aims to improve service delivery by promoting joint planning and implementation of projects across the three spheres of government. Are there any noticeable progress amongst the 44 selected districts and 8 metros? To what extent does the local government district model feature in the review of the 1996 local government white paper? Can the department answer, give us some responses on that one as well, Chairperson? In respect of the 1 trillion allocation for infrastructure investment, which is discussed in slide 10 of the presentation, how does the department objectively view the role of the local government in the growth in the growth enhancing infrastructure investment, particularly given the general state of the local government, including the key metros. Chairperson, are the municipalities ready to effectively and efficiently use the share of infrastructure budget to realize the local economic development and create jobs at the current state? Are they ready to efficiently use this 1 trillion that is budgeted for infrastructure to properly improve economic development and create jobs? So if the department can assist us on that one. Chairperson, as I close, Chair, I'll close with this comment. Some of these interventions that we see here from the department, Chairperson, they are not proactive, because the department comes in when there's issues already and tries to assist to get the municipality back to its feet. But Chairperson, there's nothing in place that would assist preventing the issues from happening. So if is the department ready to really look at their interventions and see how they can assist these municipalities, Chairperson, to ensure that they have effective controls in place so that they avoid these issues or this situation or the problems happening in the municipalities, then for the department to come in when there are issues or to intervene when there are issues and try to assist the municipality to be back on track. Chairperson, last month, the Impel local municipality did not pay salaries, let alone the issues of service deliveries. Their own employees did not get paid. So, Chairperson, the situation is bad in these municipalities. I'm not sure what is it that the department is doing about it, because we are not seeing any improvement. And some of the municipalities have been in this state, not last year, but for many, many years. And you'll find that they are under the administration of the department. Mangaung has a plan that was established and adopted in 2021, but to date it has not been implemented, the turnaround strategy, with the department involved. So, Chair, I don't know if the department can answer us on those questions. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mwali. I mean, I think I speak on behalf of the committee in the desire to see accountability being effected. And I think I depart from the question that was raised regarding Mangaung, because in the recent while, we had an engagement with Mangaung and they raised with the committee that they are still under a degree of administration. Now, the issue at core, and I want to welcome the minister who's on the call and will allow the minister to speak first before the department responds. But at core, when you look at a municipality like Mangaung, they say they've just carried on regardless of that intervention. And therefore, naturally, what all of it means is that often municipalities and metros are subjected to extra layers of government intervention, sometimes without the delivery of any consequence. And that's what Mangaung is expressing. And when you speak to ESCOM, they're not, they speak glibly about which metros have joined their DAA program. And because this portfolio committee is really narrowly interested in the financial matters and the appropriations that go in there, I can appreciate that the department accounts within its own select committee. I think when we look at the financial management of some of the issues, we appreciate that some interventions are not bearing fruit. And so maybe it might be important to understand that. I'd like to understand from the department this issue of multi-year wage deals as it speaks to collective bargaining, how that impacts municipalities. It has become common cause now that the assumption that was made, and this is SALGA's position, that the assumption of 90-10 is not holding, that municipalities, particularly metros, are not able to raise 90% of their revenue with the 10% municipal, with the infrastructure grants that are allocated, don't seem to be able to achieve financial sustainability. And then lastly, and I think it's equally so, I noticed that when the president responded in parliament regarding interventions, he raised the fact that he had intervened in Johannesburg, he had intervened in eThekwini. There was a presidential, I think it was raised even in the presentation here. But our constitution itself presents the three, not tiers of government, but spheres of government, which means local government has its own independent mandate and function. So how are all of these interventions consistent, A, with law, and B, be able to deliver significantly? Because at the end of the day, and I don't want to make the constitution our problem. I'm merely just trying to allude to the fact that it would look and feel that in some instances there are too many hands or too many pots in the local, too many stirs in the local government pot. But at the end of the day, the consequences are not really such that you see municipalities that begin to thrive. I can think about Gqeberha as a metro, some of the IPTS programs that are going on there. So I think, Minister, what you are hearing in the conversation is a sense upon which you have your department, you have the presidency, you have provinces, you have various interventions, national treasury, notwithstanding. But it feels like local government continues to face a state in certain instances of decay. Metros are not financially viable in certain places as per ESCOM report. So how do we then proceed with a sense of going, okay, if you look at the funding envelope as proposed by the Minister of Finance, it's a 9.7 over the medium term. How do we then make sure that actually when others are calling for an increase in that funding, the 1 trillion rand infrastructure spend that will go into municipalities, how do we know that that's not throwing money after bad and ultimately ending up with what, as Honorable Lekganyane describes, parallel administration in certain places and in other places, rank, poor and wasteful governance that we simply look at, forgetting the fact that each of these governance failures represents significant millions of South Africans who either end up without water, electricity, or sanitation, and you end up with sewage on streets, etc., really as a function of a failure of what is the constitutional mandate of local government. So I'm expressing these notwithstanding the presentation that's been brought before us. And I want to upfront recognize the Minister and Minister. We are very clear of your earlier commitments and so welcome. I'd like to recognize you and maybe you can open up and then the team can respond to the questions. Minister Thabisa. Mashile, is Minister Thabisa on?
Yeah, I'm trying to check. He was on. I think he's logging in.
Okay, otherwise what we can do, given that, can we proceed with the DG and then we can go from there? DG?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, let me first state up front that we anticipated that there will be questions beyond the questions that we were asked to respond to. So we prepared for that as well, and I think I made that comment in my opening remarks, that we will be able to cover even other questions that we were not asked to respond to. I need to state that the municipalities that are well managed, that are very stable, are municipalities where there is a healthy relationship between leadership in the council and leadership in the administration. you would notice that municipalities that are best managed, that are stable, you have the Troika working very well, providing leadership in the council. In this case, Troika will be the mayor, the speaker, and the whip. In some cases, it will be Troika +1, and that will be the deputy mayor as well. And then you will have your committees functioning very well, committees like MPEC, and MPEC in this case is COPA of local government. And you will have MSCOA and others working very well. All your oversight committees in the council will be working very well. And these are committees that are made up of political leadership in the council. And if the political leadership in the council is not providing the necessary leadership in that council, you will notice that these, in most cases, a municipality will not be stable. And we have good examples. And one of the examples is the 10 worst performing municipalities that we have listed. In the administration, in the management, you need the same. You need to check if the management committees are working very well, the procurement committees, the risk committees, all the management oversight committees, if you like, they also need to work very well for a municipality to function. There is a slide that we always prepare, a slide that talks to an ideal municipality. What is an ideal municipality? And we do have that slide, and we can share it with you, circulate it to you. There are cases of municipal interventions. I mean, a good one that I have on top of my head right now is a municipality like Umnquma. You will recall, Honorable Lechanyane, that Umnquma, which is the Greater Butterworth in Eastern Cape, over the years, it was seen around 2000, I was in the system then, it was seen that as, if you like, a black sheep of local government. Now, I don't want to use strong words. In some cases, they were looking at Umnquma as a skunk of local government. Even the first 139, the first generation of 139 interventions were administered there in that particular municipality. Fast forward to 2017, this is a municipality that was seen as a hopeless municipality, but it has achieved consistent clean audit. Consistently, I think over 4 years now, they have been delivering unqualified audit. Unqualified audit with no matters, which is referred to as clean audit. Yes, this does not translate into service delivery, but it tells us that the finances of the municipality are in good hands. They are being managed properly. So it's easy. We can turn the municipality around, but I guess the politics as well in the council, they have to be stabilized. You've mentioned 2 municipalities in your comments, and one of them is Titsabotla, which is a municipality that the minister is paying attention to, and we've met with the provincial leadership of the Northwest, and there is a plan in place. Minister, once joined, is likely to talk to what we want to do in Titsabotla. Again, if you have 2 mayors in one municipality and you have 2 municipal managers, it is a function of leadership in that particular municipality, because the first layer of accountability is within the municipality. We can intervene even in the private sector. The best turned around companies are companies where executive leadership, the group chairman and the group CEO of a company, take initiatives themselves to turn the company around. They don't wait for business rescue practitioners to come in or for external intervention to be imposed on them. So most companies that would be turned around and that would function very well are those companies that the leadership of the company take initiatives themselves to be turned around. Because if things are imposed from outside, sometimes it becomes difficult to sustain them. Are metros part of the IMC and PETA's municipal performance and turnaround? Yes, they are. We even conducting in terms of the MTDP, the medium-term development plan, to stabilize the metros. There is a target that talks to that in our performance arguments, in our APP, and in the medium-term development plan. So the metros are part of the IMC on impetus. All municipalities are part of the IMC impetus. But what the leadership in the IMC, the ministers in the IMC have asked us to do is to prioritize those municipalities that are in dire straits in terms of first audit. These are municipalities that over the years have failed. The 10 worst performing municipalities are municipalities that over the years have failed to submit annual financial statements. And if you can't even submit annual financial statements, then it means you are hopeless, because it means that the finances, the public purse, the finances of the municipality are not in good shape. So we targeted those that have not been submitting annual financial statements. And those are the municipalities that are in the top 10 worst performing municipalities or distressed municipalities. We do have another category as well. We know that 160 plus municipalities are at risk, and we are targeting them. In some cases, we're hands-on. In some cases, we give directives because municipal capacity is not the same. So I thought it's important to make that point as well. The issue of unfunded budgets, we think that the beginning of poor financial management in municipalities starts with the passing of the unfunded budgets. Because if you're passing an unfunded budget, it means that in simple language, and we say this to our colleagues in municipalities, that the council is lying to the public, because it means that the budget is not realistic. What you have stated in your service delivery and budget implementation plan as your priorities for the year is not going to be financed properly, because your budget is unrealistic and it is unfunded. So all the things that you communicate to the citizens of the municipality as priorities for year 2024, 2025, if you pass an unfunded budget, it means those items and those service delivery targets are not going to be implemented, because your budget is not financed, it's not funded. So we don't encourage this. In fact, as late as this morning, National Treasury has issued a letter targeting municipalities, and they have asked for our support here as well, where they are asking that they will withhold some of the grants to the municipalities if municipalities continue to pass unfunded budgets, and if they continue to submit the annual financial statements late. And we think that these are the levers that we can use to compel municipalities to meet their financial obligations. The Mangaung, there's a question about Mangaung. We intervened in Mangaung and we ran the process. There was an appointment of the mayor, there was an appointment of the municipal manager, the HODs of the departments were appointed.
Recording stopped.
We seconded one of our officials from Cooperative before the MM was appointed. So we felt that there is stability, at least in the top management. But Mangaung is still under 1395. We're still implementing the financial recovery plan there. The war room, the financial recovery war room is still continuing, and National Treasury is chairing it. and we're supporting them. They're not out of the woods yet, but at least there is stability at a political level. You have a mayor who took over 2.5 years ago, if my memory serves me well. You have a city manager who took over as well almost more than 2 years ago. And you have all the AJOGs in that municipality. But we continue to support them. We continue to institute.
Recording in progress.
But at the end of the day, the accountability for things that are not going okay in any municipality, it has to start with the political leadership in the municipality. If it was a private sector company and wrong things are happening in the municipality, then those directors of the company would be flagged for reckless trading. Maybe as we review the white paper on local government, these are the things that we need to bring on board, that we need to start holding the leaders in the council and the leaders in the administration accountable in a municipality when things go wrong along the same line.
DG, I don't want to interject while you are responding, but I do feel I need to bring a quick intervention here. I'm concerned that when we're answering questions, I think we can give generalities, and I get that. When you say, and I'm thinking about the Mangaung issue, not because it's a question I asked or members have asked, but it speaks to the broader theme. When you say you continue to support them, you say you elected a leadership there. When we met with the leadership said once the elections were done, they have neither met with you or have heard from you. So I want to understand at a granular level, help me. What do you mean when you say you are supporting? Because if it's just a if you like, and I hate to use the term, a spiritual kind of, we give them moral support, then let's say that it's inconsequential. But if we really mean what we are supporting, my understanding of a Section 139 section is that you are then obligated to deploy your own people to be permanent in the municipality, or at least to be dealing with some of these issues. But I'm not sure. So you need to help me understand that at a granular level, because I think it speaks broadly when we say, what are we doing as far as interventions are concerned? It can't just be we mean it in generalities. Please, I'm asking DG, perhaps maybe you can give me clarity, because then I can walk away satisfied to say, when COCTA or the presidency or anybody says they are putting an intervention, this is what it means on a granular level, rather than saying a political language of compliance without real, genuine teeth or consequence. I don't mean to disrupt, but please, I don't want us to move on and speak in generalities. Please, DG. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, in Mangaung, we invoked Section 1397. Together, Section 1397 is the assumption of responsibilities by national government. We also invoked Section 1395, which compels the National Minister of Finance to institute financial recovery plan. We appointed an acting municipal manager there as COCTA. There was no municipal manager. We seconded one of our senior managers, Mr. Ntlashuping, who was then replaced by TTG Ngaka Tumalisile, who is now with Human Settlements. She handed over to the municipal manager who was appointed by the council. So we handed over to the council and we handed over to the leadership of the municipality, and they made appointments, and Minister Smelane and the mayor of Mangaung met and agreed that we will keep the Section 1395, which is the financial recovery plan. The financial recovery plan in that municipality is still continuing. Section 1397 in that municipality, when we made the appointments, Ministers Melanie then, together with the mayor, the executive mayor of Mangaung, then took a decision to remove our teams because now the positions are filled, the positions that were administered by the officials, the seconded officials from the National Department. But with 1395, which is financial recovery, that one is continuing. The war room meets regularly, and the war room is chaired by National Treasury. Remember, Section 1397 is COCTA, Section 1395 is National Treasury, and both sections, they get implemented together when we assume duties in a municipality when there is a national intervention. Chairperson, I would request that maybe because of time, that we Zoom or you call us so that we can discuss all the modalities around Mangaung, because there's quite a number of work that we are doing there, including the handover report. And I think we will have to be in the room with the municipal manager, the mayor, so that it doesn't come across as if we are talking past each other. So that would be my recommendation to you, that allow us to deal with that metro, because we know there are serious challenges in that metro. In fact, they need close to 7 billion rands to deal with bulk water and sanitation challenges that they are faced with, and they are still using VIP toilets and they are using bucket toilets. So we would need a special session to deal adequately with Mangaung. There was a question about Impendle. The minister and the premier were in Impendle as late as yesterday. They visited that municipality, and the minister is very much seized with the challenges in that municipality. The question about the DDM, we can share with you, it was not in the questions, but we do have reports on all the one plans. One plans is the plans that come out of the DDM interactions. In those one plans, there are good ones. There are one plans that are not so good, and we will be able to tell you clearly, in no ambiguous terms, which one plans are proper and which one plans they need a little bit of fine-tuning. Remember, the one plans are not district plans, they are intergovernmental plans, because DDM is all of government and all of society. So some one plans, we were assisted by the private sector to package them. One example is Waterback One Plan. Most of our partners were there to assist us to draft those one plans. You would have seen that in one of the slides that DDM Duma has presented, there is a slide that talks to infrastructure project packaging, appointing implementing agents to assist municipalities to package projects. So that question about the 1 trillion, whether municipalities are ready to participate in the implementation of infrastructure projects. We think that not all municipalities are ready, but we also working closely with Treasury to assist municipalities to package infrastructure projects. You take the Free State. In the Free State, if you read the green drop, the blue drop, and no drop report of the Department of Water and Sanitation, there is a slide again that talks to that on the corrective action plans by municipalities. The infrastructure is extremely under pressure in the Free State. And those are the municipalities that we are going to be helping them through 6B, the 494 million that DDG Duma talked about is intended to target municipalities whose water and sanitation infrastructure is collapsed. And these are municipalities that have been criminally charged as well by the Department of Water and Sanitation for polluting the environment, because the wastewater treatment plants that are not functioning are polluting our streams. I think I have covered the point about the unfunded budget, which leads to UIFW, unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. And the AG has flagged this issue. And AG has also touched on the issue of value for money. If you appoint service providers to package your annual financial statement and you still get an unqualified audit, it means there is no value for money. In any case, it's the CFOs of the municipalities who should be packaging those annual financial statements. We can't have a qualified CFO appointing service providers to package financial reporting. We don't think that should be tolerated. And we have made it very clear, especially to the 10 municipalities that we're starting with, we have been failing to submit financial statements. We want that capacity to be in-house. We know that what's key in the annual financial statements is the asset register. Maybe to create a baseline, you can appoint service providers to deal with the creation of the asset register, but the compilation of annual financial statements should not be done by service providers. There was a point about appointing service providers in the department. Why are we utilizing service providers? I think this point was made by, my memory serves me well, by Honorable Wakely, that our personnel costs are going up, but we're also utilizing service providers. We need to make it clear that it is the nature of our work, the nature of the job as well, that in some cases it requires speciality, it requires professionals to do. You don't need engineers. The way we've been dealing with this issue, we created what is called the Results Management Office, where we're not appointing service providers, but we appoint individuals to assist us to package the support that is needed to municipalities. For instance, the cost of supply studies. As we know, that municipalities will not be allowed to impose new tariffs without doing the cost of supply studies. We assist municipalities to do those cost of supply studies because in most cases there's no capacity in municipalities to do that. So we bring in additional personnel to do that kind of work. And please bear in mind that if you look at the budget of COCTA, the operational budget, and you compare it with all other departments, you would notice that that budget is significantly small because it has to follow the almost 135 billion rands budget that goes to municipalities. We're not just dispersing the money to municipalities and not follow it. If you look at other departments, human settlements, transport, and you look at their supporting budget, the budget that supports the capital and operating transfers to municipalities, the budget of those departments is significantly higher than the budget of COCTA. And even if you compare the mandate, COCTA is a monitoring department, is a convening department, is an IGR department. So there's a lot of work that is expected of COCTA to support 257 municipalities. So we still think that COCTA is extremely underfunded. And you may be aware as well that the COE budget has been kept. It has not grown over the years. So we are under pressure. We had to freeze some of the positions. The issue is not so much about utilization of professionals. The question is whether they can deliver the value, because we think that they supplement the work that the operational officials are doing. For instance, revenue enhancement work, there's a lot of work needed there, data cleansing, the upgrading of meters, analyzing the customer base of municipalities. That work is professional work. It needs to be done by professionals. Sometimes municipalities would appoint service providers on risk because they don't have the money to conduct that work. So as long as the budget is under pressure, we are going to continue to utilize the operational budget to bring the expertise. I think National Treasury does the same. And the real issue will be, can we get other partners in the private sector, the MDBs like World Bank to assist us? We have seen FCDO is also getting into the space to assist us to bring more capacity, because there's donor funding as well that we get for this particular work. The DAA, is COGTA supporting the DAA, Distribution Agency Agreement? Yes. The answer is yes. I personally facilitated the signing of the Mfuleni Distribution Agency Agreement after the minister has given us an instruction to solve the problem, the impasse between ESCOM and Mfuleni. That agreement was signed with the assistance of COGTA. What we need to bear in mind is that the law is very clear on this, especially the Systems Act, Section 78 of the Systems Act, that if you are going to use an alternative service provider to for the implementation of the services, you have to run your Section 78 processes. And Section 78 processes, simply put, means that you assess your own capacity to deliver the service. And if you don't have that capacity to deliver the service, then you look for alternative service delivery arrangement. The council must pass as a resolution for this to happen. So even if we are going to end up with DAA, because I don't think municipalities have much of a choice, because they're not doing very well in managing this utility. So they will be forced to activate Section 78. If you don't have capacity, you are compelled to activate Section 78 to look for alternative ways of providing that service. And in any case, this is a public-public partnership. ESCOM is a public institution, municipalities are public institutions. So public-public partnerships are encouraged in this country, as much as public-private partnerships are also encouraged in the country. Yes, Treasury is already informed the municipalities who are defaulting in this place. It's unfortunate that municipalities are defaulting in the debt relief program, because there are incentives there. The intention was to say, if you service your current account consistently, we will then write off a portion of your debt. In fact, the arrangement in some cases is working very well. Those municipalities that are doing well have managed to reduce a certain component of that debt. And that was the incentive as well in Mfuleni, that there are 7 billion rands plus of ESCOM debt will be reduced if they continue to participate in the program. And the good news is that they have signed off as well on the DAA. The Mfuleni one was easy to manage because there was a court ruling there as well. And then there was a question as well linked to the provision of free basic services. What perhaps we need to bear in mind is that the municipal financial viability, that space is extremely under pressure. The same way that the national fiscus is extremely under pressure. I guess if the economy of the country is not performing and the national fiscus is under pressure, the municipal fiscus will also be under pressure as well, because households are under pressure, people are getting unemployed, and these are people who have to pay for services. The only way to resolve the challenge that we are faced with as a country, both at the national level and also at the municipal level, is to grow the economy. Because a growing economy would mean that you are going to have a bigger revenue base in municipalities. Yes, we have to deal with the inefficiencies in the billing system. Yes, we have to deal with the inefficiencies in managing the little budget that we have. But the bigger problem is an economy that is not performing, both at national level and also at a municipal level. Then there was a question about the national disaster. I'm going to ask my colleague to respond to that one, Thabo Kupari, to assist us in this one. part of the delay by the minister in joining this meeting is that the minister was focusing more on disaster management issues in the Eastern Cape, as we all know that there were disasters in Eastern Cape last week. We received, Honorable Khanyane, you talked about the 15 years, and I concur with you that there's been a downward spiral on the municipal space. And I hope that the white paper review process that we're busy with is going to assist us to deal with some of the challenges. But we also need to admit that both in the administration and also in the political space, in the council, that the quality of leadership has also deteriorated in this space. And we can't contest that the situation has been getting worse and worse, but also the quality of leadership there as well has been getting worse and worse, and that is why you end up with with instability in the council, committees not meeting, not receiving audit outcomes, the audit action plans not being implemented. We always advise, especially in the 10, where we are more hands-on, that the council must receive the implementation of the audit action plans quarterly, because in that audit action plan, especially the post-audit action plan, and that is where everything that is going wrong in the council has to be arrested, because the auditors will pinpoint all the things that are not going okay in the council, and the auditors would then make a recommendation on how those things should be dealt with. So if the council is not receiving post-audit action plans, the implementation of the post-audit action plans per quarter, then it means that council is not focusing on real issues, because in the PAAP of the municipality, that is where you will get a sense of whether consequence management is being implemented, the unauthorized, irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure is being dealt with. As you know, there will be no condonation of those misconducts without consequence management, and that's what the AG is looking for. On JS Moroka matter, the specific matter, I would urge that this gets shared with us so that we can follow up with our colleagues in Mpumalanga. eThekwini municipality is very stable. It's a very stable municipality. I chair work stream number 1. In fact, it's meeting right now as we speak. My colleague from National Treasury and the DG of the provinces, they are my co-chair in the work stream 1. Work stream 2 is chaired by the DG of Water and Sanitation. You have other DGs chairing other work stream as well. So eThekwini is a stable municipality. They have challenges around non-revenue water, which have been reduced from 58% to now 53%. So the presidential eThekwini working group is working as we speak. We have started in Johannesburg as well. I also co-chair work stream number 1, which focuses on governance, finance, and disaster management, and public-private partnership work streams in in Johannesburg, with the DG of the province, the DG of National Treasury. So there are specific interventions that are happening. The next move, which may not follow the same route as eThekwini and Johannesburg, is Nelson Mandela and Buffalo City. So the metros are also being attended to. Chairperson, I'm going to stop here and ask my colleague, TDG Tuma, to pick up some of the questions that I may have missed. The question on traditional leadership, if the DG of traditional leadership, traditional affairs is in the meeting, we can ask him to attend to that question. If the DG is not here, I will request that we are allowed to respond to that question in writing, because I don't want to misrepresent him. We work very well with him, but I think we will be better placed to ask him to respond to that question in writing if he's not in the meeting. The questions were directed to the DG and of DCOC. Chair, I'll stop there and ask my colleague DDG Duma to come in, and also Chief Director Thabo Kupari to also come in and respond to some of the questions that I might have missed. I have a doctor's appointment at 12 o'clock. I'll stay in until I get asked to come in, Chairperson. If I'm not responding after 12, it will be because I will be consulting a doctor. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Can I request, just in that time consideration, of course, the committee itself has got other business. So if I can ask that the respondents also keep it concise, that way we can get to the nub of the issues. And for members, if there are follow-up questions, if you can begin to draft those now so that we can compile a request for responses from the ministry, we can send follow-up questions. So if I can ask, if we can proceed on that basis, the other two speakers recognized by the DG, if we can keep your responses succinct.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. I think the DG has covered most of the questions. I've put my camera on. I'm not sure if it's all right now. Earlier on, it was upside down. But just to indicate, Chairperson, that we are very much aware of the municipalities that are failing to pay pension funds. Largely, they occur in the Free State and in the Northern Cape. And indeed, we are working closely with the relevant provinces to try and assist these municipalities overcome that situation. The same with municipalities that have not paid salaries. The issue of the instruments that are available to the department to intervene, it's something that needs to be continually improved, Chairperson. If you look at the 21 municipalities that we are targeting in the Free State, Northern Cape, one in Limpopo and one in Eastern Cape on Schedule 6B, it's an instrument that is available to us to intervene, because these issues of sewer spillages and environmental pollution have been taking place over a long period of time. So the department has thus decided to convert some of their monies to an indirect grant, so that that money is directed exactly at the problem. Because municipalities use the fact that the chairperson made earlier on, that they are a sphere of government, and some of the matters can't be readily interfered with. Maybe interfered is not the right word. We can't readily intervene. We have to go through processes that are prescribed in legislation. So there is work that is being done, Chairperson. As the DG said, National Treasury is intervening as well, where municipalities are not doing what they're supposed to do. As he also indicated, Department of Water and Sanitation has laid charges. So it's a whole suite of activities that are being undertaken to not only support municipalities, but to implement consequences where these are required. Chair, I will stop there and indicate that we will certainly prepare responses in writing where the committee so desires. And I think the DG has covered most of the challenges, or so rather the questions. And maybe hand over to Mr. Kupari to address the disaster management question that was raised, and hand back over to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I recognize the hand of the Honorable Minister. I suspect it is. Minister, if I can request, let's finish the questions and then I will give you the last words. Honorable members, I want to give enough time here. We may have to defer our minutes to the meeting we are going to have next. So, but I want us to get through the process in its entirety. Thank you very much. Over to you, DDG.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. In terms of the control measures in ensuring that the disaster grants that are dispersed to municipalities are spent accordingly. The control measures which we have monthly reports and quarterly reports, and also the site visits that are indicated that we are doing. So we are able to pick up on whether the money has been spent accordingly or not. And part of that, we also issue out non-compliance letters to the accounting officers to inform the municipality that the funds that has been dispersed, we are not receiving reports, or the reports that we are receiving are not satisfactory. We accept, Chair, that disaster management, we are sort of reactive to disasters, but there are processes that the department has taken underway, the review of the disaster management system in the country to ensure that we become proactive to disasters, and the structure that is being reviewed to ensure that there's a team that is going to be enough and increase capacity to manage these grants accordingly. Part of ensuring that we follow the funds, we are working very closely with our finance department and National Treasury. So if the funds are not accounted for, the rollover process will kick in, and if they are not meeting the conditions, the rollover is not approved, and the money will then be deducted from the equitable share of the municipality, which is unfortunate because the impact was there, but the money has to be accounted for. Chair, I will keep it there in terms of the response. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DDG. Let me recognize Minister Sabisa. Sorry, Minister, we had recognized you earlier, but I'd gotten around to the fact that there were some confusions about starts, time, and even in the middle of the meeting. So Honorable Bateman, is this a point of order, or what would you like to do? What is your intervention?
Thanks very much, Honourable Chair. There are two elements of my questions that I don't feel have been answered, and they've been touched on, but not answered directly. I don't know if this is an appropriate point to raise at this time, or whether we'll have another round of questions. I'm not sure how you'd like to handle that.
So what I'd propose that you do, Honourable Bateman, and perhaps maybe it depends on the substance and the extent of it. What I'm trying to figure out is if you could briefly reiterate the questions while you have them there, and if they need further written response, I will allow for that to take place. Will you reiterate them now? My apologies, Honourable Minister. Can we intervene in this manner, and then we'll come back to you? Honourable Bateman, the only reason I'm conscious of time is because, as you would have heard, that DG is going into another meeting. So if the questions are specific there, we've got this dilemma to manage. So if you could be brief, Honourable Bateman.
Certainly. Thanks, Honourable Chair. The question was in relation to the DAAs, and the question, and perhaps apologies if I missed this, but what are the reasons why municipalities are not embracing the DAAs voluntarily? And I wondered if it was perhaps to do with the ability to control and collect other municipal charges, and so whether it wouldn't make sense providing a mechanism whereby Eskom can manage not only the collection of the electricity charges, but also a recovery mechanism for other municipal rates and services together with the prepaid electricity. So I just wanted to drill down there a little bit and try and understand why are municipalities not embracing the DAAs voluntarily, and is there any way that we could make it more attractive for them so that they do want to voluntarily take on DAAs? Because it seems to me if we can solve this problem of the non-functioning trading services of municipalities, we're going to be going a very long way towards solving their dysfunction that is in municipalities. And then my second was in relation to the disaster funding question. Thank you. I hear your response in terms of the monthly reports, the site visits, the non-compliance letters, and even recovering funds from equitable share if there hasn't been a proper accounting. I think, but the question of my question was more around the consequence management. If there's a misappropriation of funds or a deliberate sabotaging of the purpose for which funds are provided, and whether there are consequences for those officials, and what does COG to do in that situation? So I understand you may be able to recover funds, the cash themselves, but the recurring problem that I'm seeing is that officials are not actually being held personally responsible for abuse of funds. And as a result, there's not sufficient fear of consequences. And COGTA should really be taking the lead in making sure that there is that sort of fear of the abuse of public funds. What is COGTA doing? Could you speak to that question, please? Thank you.
DG, I don't know if you've got your doctor's appointment is 5 minutes from there. Can I give you this time just to respond before we let the minister go?
Thank you very much for the questions, especially the question on the DAA. I think it's an important question which we have to deal with decisively. And in our engagement in Mfuleni and Maluti Apofong, we picked it up that there is resistance in signing the DAAs. There is a view that this is one step towards usurping powers and functions that are constitutionally mandated to municipalities. But our view is that if the functions are not managed properly, we have to make a decision in the best interest of the citizens of the municipality. I don't think that the municipalities have much of a choice. They have to activate Section 78. Remember, you can't just sign the distribution agency agreement. You have to activate Section 78 of the Systems Act. In other words, the council must pass a resolution. But we did pick it up that there is resistance towards signing TAA. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that this function is constitutionally mandated to municipalities. And in the past, it used to be a cash cow, if you like, for municipalities. It's no longer a cash cow. You could argue that there is a massive liability in there, and the assets are not being managed properly. So we have to activate those Section 78 processes, and we have to get the council to make decisions if municipalities are not in a position to embrace TAA. We're working with National Treasury here to encourage municipalities to sign the TAA. We facilitated the Mfuleni one. We also facilitated the Maluti Apofong one. The Mfuleni one, the mayor of Mfuleni told us that it's beginning to yield some positive results. We would want to do the same in other municipalities. So, Chair, we think that the DAAs are needed in some of the municipalities. The second question, we take that as a recommendation. We discussed it as late as last week with the head of the National Disaster Management Center. Some provinces have already taken initiatives to administer and follow up on the disaster management grant, and they have created panels of capacity service providers to assist first with the assessment, because remember, for any money to be dispersed, it starts with the assessment of the disaster. Then you have to manage the disaster as well up to completion. We are of the view that some municipalities don't have that capacity. And therefore, where there's no capacity, COGTA provincial or COGTA national have to come in and assist municipalities so that monies don't end up where they are not intended. Chairperson, I'm going to leave it there. We take that most of the questions are intended to assist us to manage this space a little bit better. Thank you very much.
What I'm going to suggest, DDG, is, and I want to honor your invitation that you've put forward to say that on oversight, particularly between Johannesburg and Mangaung or other metros, the committee is working towards finalizing its own program. I think it'd be prudent for us to also invite COCTA on that side so that we can have a joint intervention on that regard. Because as I did ask even earlier, the multiple interventions, whatever they look like, whether it's ESCOM, the presidency, COCTA, all of them have a function within the municipality. So it might be good for us to understand how all of it works. But I appreciate that. If follow-up questions we will send accordingly, and then the ministry can then respond. Let me recognize, and honorable members, just given the time, I'm going to move our minutes to our meeting on Monday, if it's possible. So let me recognize the honorable minister, and then we can wrap the meeting on that basis. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and greetings to all honorable members. I just hope I'm audible in the platform now, Chair.
You are audible.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me firstly, I have greeted all the honorable members, COCTA team. Firstly, Chair, my apology. I was held up in the morning in a meeting with the Premier of Eastern Cape, which took longer than anticipated. And at the time when you requested me to come first before DG, it was my gadget, but I wanted to request DG to come first, which has happened. Firstly, I managed to hear questions from some of the members, but I couldn't on others. But I want to start with Honorable Soviet Lechanyane. I could feel the frustration which we all feel when it comes to municipalities, especially most of them. It is true. In most municipalities, things are not well. And the review of the white paper should make bold decisions in terms of the structuring of our municipalities. Some of them are not viable. But a more responsible role must be played by political parties, because, Honorable Chair, we can speak in this platform, but a mayor deployed at Titsobotla, we have little to do in terms of removing that mayor, except a political party that deployed a mayor into a municipality. In many municipalities where there are challenges, you will find the challenge of capacity and capabilities to the political leadership. If the mayor, deputy mayor, and speaker do not possess sufficient capabilities to lead, they will employ the MM who does not have the capacity, because they themselves first, they don't. The chain will go further down. The MM will recruit and eventually process the employment of a CFO who cannot make the financial statements, who will rely on consultants and wake up with a disclaimer at the end of the day. Now, the review of the white paper on local government must be a turning point in the local government space. It must address the question of funding model, the remuneration you pay to mayors, councillors, versus the budget they run, does not talk to each other. We can make an example, Honorable Chair. eThekwini redeployed the Member of Parliament to become a mayor in eThekwini. And you can't do in many municipalities except metros. And you will eventually deploy people who are not fit for purpose, because you haven't spoken to the remuneration of the representatives, political representatives at a local space. That is one matter. But the other matter, Chair, we have decided at a political level in the ministry that we are going to do door-to-door to political parties, that whatever intervention can be done, if the political parties are aware that in municipality A, there are 2 mayors from one political party, and they are running parallel structures in one municipality, and they come from one political party, unless they intervene, all what we are talking in this platform, we can say the COCTA is not doing what it's supposed to do, but until the political intervention is done correctly, we will resolve a number of problems. I'm not lamenting, therefore, Honorable Chair, or defending, but I'm saying to honorable members, one decision we have done, we are going to approach political parties in municipalities where there are deep leadership problems, that until you resolve the leadership at a political level, this municipality will keep on not submitting the AFS, will keep on adopting the unfunded budget, because every other mechanism that you do, you can deploy people to support them, but at the end of the day, political leadership is key. Having said that, therefore, Chair, I agree with the honorable members when they say some intervention takes too long. An example was made of Umkanyaguta, which I know very well, close to 10 years. We said, let us get the reports as to why these interventions take so long. Where people who were deployed as ministerial representatives had the capacity to do that? Or the recommendations they made, were they taken into account and implemented? Or they made recommendations, but there was no will to implement them. So now we are reviewing all the long time standing interventions with no change, which is realized early. And on the question of the municipalities using consultants, we are engaging Treasury to explore a condition that what a municipality is paying for when it hires a consultant but gets a disclaimer. What is it that they are paying for? Why there isn't a condition for a consultant that you will be paid on delivering the required goods, because it's billions of money. very few come up with good audit outcome, but the majority is bad audit outcome despite using the consultants. But the whole point goes back to the capacity and capabilities we have in our municipalities. I think, Chair, there was a question on traditional leadership. Indeed, we have identified the problem of disputes around succession. Honorable members will know that last year, the Forum of Majesties in South Africa, which is the competence of the national government, was formed by all kings and queens, and they have accepted the proposal to document the chronology of each royal family, identifying the succession issue, so that if there is a proper documentation, what we are seeing in courts of law disputes will be minimized, because every royal family, there will be a proper documentation in terms of the family tree up to identifying who is the next heir. And this information we have shared also with the National House of Traditional Leaders, which is responsible for Amakosi, which is at the provincial competency. And the idea has also been acceded to at the level of the National House, that provincial governments must embark in a process of documenting the chronology in terms of the succession plan, so that we do not experience what we are experiencing now. Because as COCTA, we can't make a decision. The decision who must be a king, firstly, reside with the royal family. We only facilitate the decision of the royal family, and if it is challenged, we can't have a resolution except the court of law must arbitrate on the matter. That is why we have embarked on this process of the identification of the next heir through the documentation of the chronology of the royal family. The other issues, Honorable Chair, we will gladly respond to them. As you rightly said, they will be forwarded, and be willing again to come back to this platform for further engagement, because the local government space affects everybody, and unless we fix it, there couldn't be any progress the country will make much, as development depends on the local government space. Thank you very much, Chair. But the recommendations and issues raised were taken into account as areas that we must concentrate on, as I made a reference to Honorable Lekhenyane, as we was asking, how do you go to sleep with a municipality with two mayors? The matter we assist with it on Tuesday. It was before the cabinet committee, and we are working on it. Unfortunately, there are limitations in terms of law. Even if we want to intervene, we cannot override the province in terms of the legal prescript, but we are not at ease of what is happening at Titsobotla in terms of the two parallel structures. It is a matter we are engaging. Thank you very much, Chair.
Minister, let me take this opportunity. Thank you very much for availing yourself on the platform. I take absolutely to heart the point that is made that we need to have a follow-up engagement on this issue. I'm also respectful of the fact that this committee deals with appropriations. It doesn't always deal with all the matters that sit with cooperative governance. So therefore, the financial undertakings that are made to municipalities then become oversight of this respective committee. Some of the governance issues, I really certainly think that the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Portfolio Committee needs to be able to take a stronger and a much deeper interest in some of these issues. But you be assured that we will then respond accordingly to the minister, to the ministry, and then take the engagement next. Let me, in the light of that, honorable members, it is now 12:15. The meeting was scheduled to finish at 12, having started at 9. I'm going to defer the minutes of the meeting to our engagement, and just by a matter of announcements, ask that we have been given approval to convene our meeting to consider the two reports. The first report is on the pension and public sector pension and financial related matters act, if I'm not mistaken, and also the division of revenue bill. On that report will be tabled collectively on Monday. We'll consider both those reports. That meeting is scheduled physically in Cape Town on Monday. If I can request that honorable members will resume at 10 a.m. for those members who might fly in on the day, but we are scheduled to finish at 4 p.m. on that day. So if members can then avail themselves accordingly. Mashile, I don't know if there are any other announcements that I need to make.
No, except for the fact that we will release the details in terms of the venue, because we're trying to secure Good Hope Chamber, but we'll definitely communicate to the committee in time.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, with that being said, I look forward to seeing you physically on Monday. Let me declare this meeting closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Long live the chair.
Thank you,
Thank you, Chairperson.